Hi, everybody. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. One thing that can happen that's really tricky and difficult and actually winds up sabotaging your own sense of peace around food and eating in your body is to try to control your own weight in the most simple way. That is, having an idea that your body or your shape, let's put it that way, your shape and your weight should be a certain type of look, and it should have a certain feel and sense and vision to it, and you know what it is. You're the one running the show. You're the one in control. You want the scale to say these three numbers, that can be a really tricky fine line of movement into incredible stress, because you're trying to hold on with power and tightness and clenching to something that is not natural. So a long, long ago, in all my efforts to understand food and eating and body image and weight and all the stress and strain that I constantly felt under around all of it, I came across the idea, there might have even been a whole book about it, called set point. And it's just that everyone's got a certain set point. You're going to land in a particular weight for you, for your body, that's extremely natural. Like if you were just flowing and being completely innocent without all these ideas and compulsions and cravings and weirdness that we get into around food and eating, if something was just very natural and you weren't concerned, you would wind up having that set point. And some people's are a little more stocky and heavy. Some people have bones that are shaped, a certain way with wide shoulders. And some people are tall and lithe and thin and have a different sort of feel and a look. And that's just totally normal in the whole human spectrum, the beautiful creativity that we have of all the human animals walking around, all the shapes and sizes, and the extreme height and weight and color differences that can happen in the human form. That if you are fighting your own set point, if you want to control it and you don't like what it is, you refuse to accept it, just your own simple set point, calling it that way, like a natural weight that you're going to be fighting forever. So this was a powerful concept for me long ago, because I had in my mind, I always had these numbers in my mind about what was best. This particular number is really good, but 4 pounds lower is even better. Sometimes people can remember, thank goodness, in a way, it's kind of interesting. I can't remember the exact number that I always used to want to be, but I feel like it was about 120 or something like that. Always wanted, or if it was below 120, then that was really fantastic, it was just so good. 118. And people's heights make it so that it's incredibly different for whatever the number is that's like a goal weight or the perfect weight, or what somebody comes up with, sort of thinking of it in a brain way, in a mind way, but how they want to direct their own body versus just what's natural. So what I found is that was true for me, that there was some sort of relief in accepting the body I was given, the natural tendency of the body that I was in, and just being at peace with it. Being okay with that I had the size and shape of the legs that I had, and that my torso was the length that it was, and that my arms looked the way they did. And that something about the idea, although I barely knew how to put words to it at the time, was incredibly full of surrender in a very peaceful and gentle and kind way. It was an acceptance of the greater natural world, which could even be called, reality, universe, God, creativity, that is beyond this little human deciding what it thinks is the right body shape and size and weight. So I know that humans can do a tremendous amount of manipulation to the body. We can, put things on it and dress it in certain ways and change the form and do things like exercise and physical movement that change the way the form is. And of course, diet and eating has to do with all that. The weight can change and be really, some people have very dramatic differences in the world if they have been someone who's gained an enormous amount of weight and had a very heavy body and then actually found freedom and lost it. Or been not so free and lost it by intense dieting and restriction. But they do know then the sense of being out in the world and almost being unrecognizable because something's changed in the body, the way this weight thing works. Really, though, incredibly powerful to sit with an understanding that you have a sort of natural balanced place at a point. The reason I'm mentioning this today is because when people have an idea in their mind with sort of an extreme movement into control, it's just the equal and opposite out of control. If you notice that you have out of control tendencies towards food and eating that are very unpeaceful, very, very difficult, hard, pushing, emotional, difficult, you have out of control experiences like that with food and eating or any kind of compulsion, then you have the equal and opposite sort of tendency to want to form control, to resist, to discipline, to fight, to have a closed fist tightly. And when people often have this tendency towards supreme control, I'm going to have supreme control over my body, sometimes they'll pick a set point that is like as much as 20 pounds lower, or some other image in their mind about what their body should look like that is so different than what their body actually was that they were given, that it's going to be extremely difficult to ever relax and have peace and just gently be peacefully out of control, allowing life and the world to unfold before you, which is the most peaceful way to be with food and eating or just about anything, and to not mind really what's going on, and to not feel like you have to tighten your grip or lose everything, not be scared when it comes to food and eating. So I really encourage people sometimes to consider, if you are trying to be that weight, 10, 20 pounds lower, you just want to have the Twiggy image. I know that's very, very old. I don't even know if I actually know what Twiggy looked like, but I think she was super, super skinny model, like in the 60s, right? But if you have that sort of extremely thin plan for yourself, and that's not actually the way your body is shaped, it's just not the way you're hooked up, then the disappointment and the fury and the intensity around tightening control can be incredibly stressful. No peace whatsoever. All out war, nonstop all the time, because you're just never where you think you should be. This is a great thing to question. Why do I want to be there? What is it about this number that I learned, or this lower perfect weight, that I think would make me feel better? And noticing the dilemma of feeling really horrible and tight and in control and intense on your way to later, when you get thin, then you'll feel good. If you feel tight and restricted and intense the whole time you're on your way to feeling in that perfect weight, when you arrive at the perfect weight, believe me, you'll still feel tight and intense and in control, and like then you got to hold on to it. You can't lose it. So natural, some sort of natural unfolding into exactly the way that's the weight and the body that's meant for you is going to be the most peaceful, relaxed, calm sensation. And movement and exercise can happen. I so enjoy dance and bike and walking and yoga. And I just love it. It brings me such incredible joy in the world. But there's no have to or force or discipline or pushing. In fact, that's gotten more and more and more relaxed as every year goes by. It's just for the joy of it. And the body is what it is. It looks like that. It doesn't look this other way. And that's perfect for this person. Your body has a perfect set point for itself. It's okay if you're over that set point and that's one of your concerns. You have like a heavy weight, that something would be more peaceful and easier, and you're working on your food issues. That's another thing just to be aware of. It's okay to still have weight loss as a desire and a benefit and a health orientation that's interesting to you. But I would say today, for now, even the weight you are, even if it's quote unquote overweight, so-called overweight, you've landed at where you are for some important, powerful reason. And it's just showing you future next steps. And it doesn't mean it can't unroll in some other alternative way as you become more peaceful with food and eating over time, as you study yourself and your movements and your behaviors. So the most simple way to say this is that letting loose the grip of control, intense control, you deciding with your mind what you think the body should look like and what eating ought to be like, and everything about what you should be eating in a very intense, kind of stress-filled, controlled way, is actually going to lead to rebellion and a sense of powerlessness and upset, and in a way, something that is unreachable. And so there's going to be something inside that just feels despair about trying to be at that perfect weight that isn't really natural for you. And I'm not talking about a sense of peace around, some people have great joy and smoothness around a food plan that works for them just right, that shows them structure, and they know just never to eat that thing over there because it always makes them feel bad and sick, and to eat these things over here because they're really life-supporting and good and delicious. It's not saying that. You're not in control, like tightly in control, eating these beautiful things and avoiding others. There's things that I never eat, but I never think about them every day either. They just aren't on my mind, so there's no control required. This is the ultimate sense of peace. So there's just no control required, no tightness, no intensity required. So just consider that today. What would it be like if you let your body show you what its natural set point is for deeply peaceful eating, and the body turns out however it does? That's what I ultimately wanted. I wanted to be at peace with food and eating, deeply at peace with food and eating, and the body to be doing a natural, balanced result, doing its thing in a really peaceful, beautiful way, and not have to be that 10 pounds lower that I always used to think I needed to be when I was 15 years old. I wanted to be done with that. So let me know how it goes. Bye.